Through our mediation and our investigations, we were able to return more than $23 million.
That is the state's administrator for consumer protection, the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, releasing their top 10 list of consumer complaints for 2024. And as you just heard, the department's actions on those complaints resulted in a lot of money going back to the consumers in the state. And we welcome in Tammy Elliott, of course, with our Consumer First Alert. So you've been doing stories for a long time, including all of 2024. Anything surprise you in that top 10?
So very similar to the report from 2023, about 11,000 complaints. I think what maybe surprises me most, and this is something that I heard also from the Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection, a little bit of reporting fatigue.
Okay.
Maybe under-reporting, because we do report on this. I hear a lot from viewers, and sometimes I think they may wonder, why should I report this? Does it really make a difference?
All right, we'll get specifically into that with one of the top 10 in just a second. But let's start at the top. Number one, with over 2,500 complaints in 2024, landlord-tenant issues. So what should every renter out there understand? I
think from my conversation with Consumer Protection, I would say understand what's in your lease. And, you know, we don't all like to read the fine print, but you really should understand that some of these issues were with their rental agreement, not getting security deposits back. And also understanding that if you have an issue to file a complaint, one of the top things they pointed out is they returned $1.7 million. There was a settlement with a Milwaukee-based company. Okay. And, you know, those are the kind of things Consumer Protection is going to look for patterns, and then they're going to respond to that kind of thing. So definitely, if you have an issue, report it. And landlords understand too. It's on both sides as well.
All right, and so again, money to be had there. So don't under-report if you think you have a claim. Make it. Number two on the list, telemarketing. Now maybe this surprised me a little bit because we all know we have a do not call list. So why are the complaints still so high if we have a do not call list?
So we talk about this a lot, right? In my Consumer First Alerts, there are scammers out there. They aren't following the rules. Okay, so that's part of that telemarketing issue. The scams, the robocalls, those type of
Even
calls.
if you're on the do not call list?
Even if you're on the do not call list. They are not following the rules. I mean, they're criminals, right? They're scammers. The companies that are legitimate companies, and this is where Consumer Protection kind of divides this. They say, you know, if you send in a complaint, you file a complaint about a call that you're getting, and they will verify, is it a legitimate company? Maybe it's someone who you did business with or maybe thought about doing business with, got some marketing calls from them, and you say, look, I'm not interested in your product, your service, whatever it is. I don't want any more calls from you. They have to stop. They're a legitimate business. You're on the do not call list. They have to stop. So you should report that. On the flip side of that, those scam calls and all those other calls, and we're also noticing text messaging scams as well too. So that kind of is in another category. And yeah, unfortunately, people report this all the time to me. Our viewers, Chris, are saying, hey, I'm on the do not call list. Why am I getting all these scam calls? One thing I will point out is that the phone companies are being held more accountable. You'll notice that on your phone, the caller ID sometimes will say scam phone calls. There are regulations in place. They are being told they have to filter these, try and understand where these calls are coming from. If they know and they can identify it, they need to alert you on your phone.
All right, let's skip ahead to number 4 on the list, which changed this year. But to me, based on all your reporting and the talks that we have, would seem to be much higher, and that's identity theft. Here's an important reminder from DATCAT.
Most of the complaints involved compromised Facebook accounts. But what we know is that social media profiles being taken over by scammers can really lead to serious and long-term consequences, as you mentioned. A scammer could use that compromised account to access an owner's personal financial information. Maybe they take control of an internet-based business, if that's what you're doing, you know, to earn income. Or they could just spread the scam to your friends and family.
All right, so she mentioned Facebook in there. Do they have a sense of how underreported this is, especially when it comes to that?
Right. Well, 618 reports of identity theft.
Doesn't seem like a lot, right?
Does not seem like a lot, right? The Facebook hacking, you know, I talked with you before. I wanted to point that out, that can lead to identity theft.
Sure.
You might think, oh man, my Facebook account got hacked. You report it to Facebook. But you really have to be aware, she said, changing your passwords, not reusing passwords. And a lot of the things that people post on Facebook can be used against you to commit identity theft. personal information, those little details that they might use in another type of scam.
So should people, you mentioned people report it to Facebook, but should they make it a habit then of immediately reporting it to DATCAP?
Absolutely, that's what they say. Report it not just to Facebook or to the social media, whatever account that might be, but also to Consumer Protection. And know also if you're compromised, and I talk a lot about data breaches and identity theft, just had a big report out last week that I was talking about. Billions of notifications going out. Just because you may not be a victim right now, if they have your information, you have to monitor your accounts, you have to lock down your credit, because you could be a victim down the road, maybe not necessarily right now.
All right, important information here. You'll have more of this coming up on Action 2 News at 5. But also, how can people see, you talked to DATCAP this morning, where can they see the entire interview and what can we look forward to it coming up?
So on our live stream, we have an Action 2 News this morning live stream at 7:05. This report came out right at 6 o'clock, so we had the administrator for Consumer Protection joining me, and we have that interview posted at WBAY.com. You look under Consumer First Alerts. I have links there, phone numbers to report. If you're listening to this and saying, I am a victim of this, or I have a scam to report, or I have an issue with a business.
Or I should have reported
Or I
one.
should have reported this. Right. It's not too late. Go there and report it.
All right, Tammy, thanks so much again. More coming up on Action 2 News at 5.